Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Micah J, and I'm back again with another video, and today we're going to be talking about teen movies. As a kid growing up, watching teen movies were always a delight because those were the type of movies that taught you lessons of what it's like being a teenager. Whether if it's dealing with adolescence, growing pubic hair, dealing with peer pressure, dealing with parental control, getting your first job, graduating high school, and also the pressure of what you aspire to do after graduation. And I can personally relate to all of that because I myself happen to be a high school graduate. Yep, that's right. Take a very good look at this handsome son of a bitch, y'all. Take a very good look. Now, as always, before I start this list, here's some honorable mentions. She's All That, Bring It On, A Cinderella Story, Easy A, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, She's the Man, The Edge of 17, Heathers, Clueless, and Cruel Intentions. So without further ado, I'm your boy Micah J, and here are the top 5 best teen movies of all time. Starting at number 5, 10 Things I Hate About You. A highly underrated teen movie that I feel like never really gets mentioned in the same breath as some of the all-time great ones, but as a film of its own, it's pretty damn good. Loosely based on William Shakespeare, The Taming of the Shrew, 10 Things I Hate About You was such a terrific adaptation to the story with having that typical 90s vibe to it. Furthermore, it launched the careers of Julia Stiles, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and especially the late great Heath Ledger. On paper, this movie should have been a flop, but when you have a group of well-rounded characters, especially with the two protagonists being an angsty female named Kat and a bad boy named Patrick having such wonderful chemistry with each other, is the reason why this film works so well. It's clever, it's consistently funny, it's charming, and you also have very memorable scenes. From Patrick serenading Kat in the school stadium from the bleachers, and even the ending scene where Kat broke down in tears while reading her poem to Patrick in front of the classroom.
I hate it when you're not around and the fact that you didn't call. But mostly I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even at all.
And with all that is why I think 10 Things I Hate About You definitely deserves to be a top 5 teen movie. Coming at number 4, Superbad. Superbad is a teen comedy that always makes me laugh, and it's something that people of my age can resonate with. It was released at a time when comedy movies were like at an all-time high during the mid-2000s, but what set it apart from other comedy flicks at the time was the amazing dialogue, the great pacing, and humor that was thoroughly consistent. Superbad pretty much like embodies like the awkwardness of high school. It's all about two best friends who are trying to get laid before they head off to college, which does seem like a very simple story, but it's a lot more than that because it has a much more genuine feel to it as it gives you a taste of what it's like being in your late teen years. Jonah Hill and Michael Cera were absolutely fantastic as this typical fat guy, skinny guy pair, and you cannot mention this film without mentioning McLovin. That by far is like the most memorable and most funniest stuff of this entire film.
Wait, you changed your name to McLovin?
They let you pick any name you want when you get down there.
And you landed on McLovin.
Yeah, I was between that and Muhammad.
Why the fuck would it be between that or Muhammad?
What makes this so rewatchable for me is the way how it's great to see high schoolers talk about real shit in such an uncensored manner, which is something you don't really get to see in a lot of teen movies nowadays. Superbad is a film that just gets so many things right, that tries to be something different instead of just following a generic formula, which is why it still remains such an essential teen comedy flick. Plus, this was the movie that introduced us to the amazing Emma Stone, who would go on to become an Oscar-winning actress.
Anderson.
Here.
Bueller. Bueller. Bueller.
Number 3, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Now, there was a reason why the late John Hughes was considered the king of 80s teen movies. He had written and directed some other teen classics as well. 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, and the criminally underrated Some Kind of Wonderful. Most of those movies kind of dealt with more serious issues. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, on the other hand, had a much more lighter message, and that was just have fun in life. Matthew Broderick perfectly embodied the charisma as Ferris Bueller, a fun-loving slacker who tricks his parents into skipping school, so from there he persuades his two best friends to join him in a day full of activities that include dining at fancy restaurants, attending parades, and even taking a ride on a sports car for a spin. Ferris Bueller's Day Off might be a fun, lighthearted film, but it also addresses some important themes. And one of those things is to live your life and don't take everything so seriously. Meanwhile, we get to see the way how Ferris, Sloane, and Cameron interact with each other, which provides more depth to their characters, and in the end, all three of them get to learn more about each other on their adventurous day, which causes their friendship to grow even stronger. John Hughes definitely deserves all the credit for everything he did in this movie, as he clearly understood how to purify all the qualities about being a teenager into a movie and somehow still making it both relevant and timeless. I highly recommend this to anybody who hasn't seen it yet because it's just so fun to watch. Coming at number 2, The Breakfast Club. And yet another classic teen movie directed by the legendary John Hughes. The Breakfast Club has to be the most famous out of all of John Hughes' filmography, as it solidified his reputation as a pioneer of the teen movie genre. The film is all about 5 teenagers who are forced to spend an entire Saturday in detention along with their assistant principal. You have a rebel named John, a princess named Claire, a nerd named Brian, a jock named Andrew, and an outcast named Allison. While they all may be different, but as the day goes by, all 5 of the teens realize that they have more in common than they thought, as they're all linked by similar issues. The Breakfast Club was like the first movie to really dig deep into the idea of high school cliques. Anybody who ever watches this could easily connect themselves as one of the characters. And John Hughes superbly captured the way how kids in different groups perceive and stereotype one another. Plus, I'm very sure that this was the movie that convinced teenagers around the world to go to detention because the way how it made detention look very fun to be in. But overall, The Breakfast Club is such an amazing movie that really rejected the way how high school usually worked, which is why it still remains a cult classic 35 years later.
Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club.
And coming at number 1, Mean Girls. Now, a lot of people could say that Mean Girls is overrated, but overrated or not, you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot deny Tina Fey's brilliant screenwriting because it's that damn good. Based off the 2002 book Queen Bees and Wannabes, Mean Girls set a whole new standard to the genre of teen movies filled with memorable characters, funny dialogue, and the unforgettable quotes.
Nice wig, Janice. What's it made of?
Your mom's chest hair.
So if you're from Africa, why are you white?
Fall for you, Glen Coco. You go, Glen Coco.
That is so fetch.
On Wednesdays, we wear pink.
Despite this movie being a comedy, Mean Girls teaches you such an important lesson, and that is be yourself and treat others the way how you want to be treated. It also provides depth to the brutal high school life while addressing issues like bullying and social acceptance. This is when Lindsay Lohan was at the prime of her career way before she tragically ended up on crack, and you have the amazing Rachel McAdams portraying the greatest mean girl of all time of any movie in Regina George, which is the role that launched her career to the stratosphere for years to come. This movie has become so popular, it had developed a massive cult following, garnering a shitload of memes on the internet, and it even has its own holiday on October 3rd called Mean Girl Day. And with all that is why I think Mean Girls is unequivocally the number 1 greatest teen movie of all time. And that's the list. What do you think is the greatest teen movie of all time? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for weekly videos. I'm your boy Micah J, and peace.